So the question is emptiness, does this mean that we're not to put meaning on things? Yeah, I would say it's sort of more like to start to see how the meaning that we find in things is lended to those things by the mind. It's to start to notice that the mind is imbuing or investing meaningfulness or lack of meaningfulness in things. Whether something is good or bad, that's given to it by the mind. Right, so we know the phrase blessing in disguise, right? And this is how things often unfold for us. Something really bad happens, but then over time we're able to look at it differently and see how so much goodness, so much growth came from that. So what is it good or is it bad? So it was bad when we looked at it in a certain way, and then it became good when we look at it a different way. But it doesn't mean that it's good now. It just means that its goodness was given to it by the mind. So it's not pointing towards meaninglessness, it's pointing towards inherent meaninglessness. And this is an important distinction. Because emptiness actually can allow us to imbue things with meaningfulness. We can re-enchant things, as Robert Bea would say. We can re-enchant things. So to give you an example of this, before I got married, when I was deciding if I was ready to propose to my now wife, right? I had known her for a long time and loved her very much, and still do, but that decision to propose was a difficult one for me, and I was like 99.9% there, but I wasn't quite there yet. And so I was speaking to one of my spiritual teachers and was reflecting on my view of marriage as it was informed by my parents' marriage and other marriages that I've seen in my culture and Sri Lankan culture, and then Buddhist monastic culture, which is in certain countries, like in Sri Lanka, it's sort of very against the institution of a relationship and very much towards celibacy and like a strict monk life. So anyway, I had to look at all these things. And when I started to use the view of emptiness, one of the things that really helped was I saw how marriage is empty of an inherent existence. It's nothing in particular. Marriage is not what Americans say it is. It's not what the statistics say it is. Whatever marriage is given to the concept of marriage by the mind. So it's not that I then decided to not give marriage meaning. I actually went the opposite way. Like I started to see the sacredness of marriage. Not that marriage is inherently sacred. Many marriages are anything but sacred. But I started to sort of re-enchant my view of marriage, to really see it as something sacred, so beautiful, so nourishing. This commitment towards another, to be there for them, and to receive that back in a way that cannot be shaken. And then this view of marriage, and there's a lot more to it, right? But this view of marriage that started to emerge really made me ready, like really ready to be all in and to get down on one knee, right? And so is emptiness like not putting meaning on things? It's not saying that we should go around and not put meaning into things. And at least not in my view. It's about seeing the emptiness of things and allowing the freedom to arise from that. And we want to become sort of like pliant and flexible and responsive So in the context of a relationship, there are times in my relationship where I will, speak of it in this way of sacredness and this great beauty. And then there's other times where I'll sort of do the opposite, to sort of relax and soothe and to see it. This is really empty. It's not anything in particular. And so I'll go in a different direction. So with the emptiness, we get this kind of freedom to play with perception in different ways. But what's really freeing is the extent at which we see that it's actually nothing in particular. So for me, like, for the first couple of years with this teaching, probably my favorite way to play with emptiness was actually to bring a sense of meaningfulness and sacredness to phenomena. And I still do this all the time. And, you'll see me do this, to talk about like how amazing it is to sit here and meditate. How amazing it is to be with other spiritual practitioners. The beauty of the moon, which has always moved me since I was a child. The beauty of nature, right? But like anything else, the more we practice, things start to shift and we enter into different phases of practice. So something that's emerging for me now is just starting to emerge is this, actually, rather than fabricating the sacredness and the meaningfulness of things, it feels even more sacred, more beautiful, more wonderful to see its emptiness itself without making it something else. Actually, just to kind of stay there with this nothing in particular. Like right now, that feels really juicy and peaceful for me. So what I'm trying to show here is like, we need to take these teachings into the heart and become responsive. So this is where the skillfulness comes in. It's like, as human beings, we deal with suffering, we deal with dukkha. And we want to alleviate ourselves from that suffering. So we need to be responsive. And this is also where this idea of having many different dharma tools, like virtue and appreciation and love and determination and energy and effort and all these different tools, right? So this tool of emptiness is actually a collection of many tools. It's like another toolkit in itself. And so we can learn to play with it in different ways. And as you can probably tell, I can probably go on for quite a while on this. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here. I hope that's helpful.